When the 2024 season began, Pitt and SMU weren't two teams that most people expected to compete for an ACC championship. It was a conference that many expected Clemson to win, maybe Florida State be in that conversation, Miami, but nobody really expected these two teams to potentially be in that conversation. Pitt is 7 and 0, SMU is 7 and 1, and these are two teams that are very much alive in that ACC championship race. It's a team in Pitt that has surprised a lot of people, and an SMU team that had that early loss to BYU, but it is coming on really strong since that loss. These are two teams that can also score the football at a pretty good pace, and it's going to be fun to see how these defenses respond to those explosive offenses. The biggest question for Pitt is going to be how do you confuse Kevin Jennings? Kevin Jennings has been really good for SMU ever since he took over as the full-time starter. SMU's offense has looked different. SMU's defense has struggled a little bit, but also shown some signs of improvement as well. But Pitt is one of those teams that you have to figure out how to slow down this type of a quarterback. Now, they did a really good job of making Kyle McCord's life extremely difficult this past weekend. And I think that they can do it again. Narduzzi has done a really good job of coaching up his defense. It's been a little bit different this year compared to last year, but that's in a good way. I mean, they're 7-0 because their offense has done really good things, but their defense is going to have their toughest test yet. Stopping Jennings, well, really stopping SMU's offense is not easy. Stopping them is going to be a difficult task. Slowing down their quarterback is going to be the biggest key. So you need your linebackers to make good reads. Always know where the quarterback is and when he has the football and find a way to limit him. Maybe force him to throw the ball a little bit more. Do you spy him a little bit more because you know that you have more faith in your pass defense, as we saw this past weekend, over maybe stopping him on the run? Because Jennings is a good runner that can make life very difficult for anybody that's going against him. And it has some really good players, but I think that Kevin Jennings is a special kind of player that can make things very difficult for anybody he's facing. The question for SMU: will they take care of the football? This is a team that faced a really good defense in Duke this past weekend, and they committed 6 turnovers. So normally, when you commit that many turnovers, you lose, essentially. You do not win a football game when you turn the ball over 6 times. SMU found a way to hang on for a 28-27 win. They cannot repeat that experience. They cannot repeat that type of performance. And Rhett Lashley even commented on it after the game. Said it was just crazy how they were able to win that game, and the fact that they did tells him that they have a lot to work on still. And this is a team that, again, is trying to compete for an ACC championship. Turning the ball over is not going to do that. And as Syracuse learned, doing that against Pitt means the game is kind of over early. So you can't afford to do that. Kevin Jennings needs to take care of the football. This team needs to take care of the football. How do you do that? Fundamentals, paying attention to ball security, all that kind of stuff. The matchup to watch is really going to be Pitt's defense versus SMU's playmakers on offense. This has been a really fun SMU offense, and there's a reason for it. They have good depth. They have explosive players at every position. Now, they are going to be without one of their key players, and we'll dive into that here now. Impact players for SMU. Kevin Jennings obviously leads the way. Kevin Jennings is a special player for SMU. He has been the biggest X factor for this team, and his full-time starting takeover has been the difference in SMU's success. They have done a lot of really exciting things, and I think that if you go back to that BYU game and maybe play it again, you'd probably feel better about SMU's chances to put up more than what they put up against BYU. So Kevin Jennings is going to be the most difficult player to guard on the field, and how Pitt will do that is going to be interesting. But he is very good, and you've seen some really nice throws, but also I think that there are some limitations with his passing, but he has done a really good job of working within the system. Rhett Lashley and that staff have put him in successful positions to make plays, and he has done a good job of making the right decision outside of maybe this past weekend. 321 yards on the ground as well. So he is someone who can make life miserable for anybody that's not ready for a dual threat quarterback. Pat Narduzzi is going to have some long hours trying to figure out what he can do to give different looks, send different blitzes and whatnot to slow him down. Richard Smith's having a really good year. The running back depth took a big hit when Jalen Knight went down. Kamar Wheaton's gone down. So a group that was once very deep is suddenly looking not as deep as it once was. So that's something to keep an eye on as well. But Richard Smith is very fun to watch. A very quick runner, very explosive runner, and that's going to be really helpful because the passing attack, which we saw last week, is going to have to go on without RJ Maryland. RJ Maryland, the tight end, was really good for this team. He is a big reason why they won some of their games early in the season, and now he's out for the year. That's really unfortunate. That's a guy who's going to be an NFL player. We'll see what that means for his future with SMU. We'll see if he comes back, but SMU all of a sudden had to figure out who's going to be their go-to guy. Roderick Daniels stepped up in a big way, had some explosive plays against Duke. Will he do that again? That's going to be a big question. The pass catchers are going to have to step up. RJ Maryland is not there to save them anymore. They are going to have to figure out who's going to be that guy. And they have options, just like they do at running back. They have good depth at wide receiver, but do they have that alpha anymore that can step up and be the go-to playmaker? They have guys that can do that, but we've yet to see someone besides RJ Maryland take that step. The defense is taking some steps forward as well. We'll see if they can handle Pitt's offense. We'll see what they can do against that explosive group of playmakers as well. So guys like Kobe Wilson, as well as Jonathan McGill, are going to have their hands full with what Pitt brings to the table. Going to those Pitt Panthers, the impact players for Pitt, it starts with Eli Holstein. And Eli Holstein has been one of the best additions by any team in the transfer portal era. He has been a big surprise. We did not expect many things from him. I don't think really anybody did. And maybe even within the Pitt program, you didn't expect this level of success. 1,800 yards, 17 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. The former Alabama transfer was a good addition for Pitt, but we just didn't know what he was capable of doing. And I think he's even surprised the Pitt faithful, even the coaching staff, of how successful he can be. And he has been really fun to watch. He has been the biggest key to their success. And Pitt went through some changes. They lost some players to the transfer portal, they lost some players to the NFL. You kind of expected it to be maybe a transition year. They didn't waste any time winning football games. They continue to surprise people, and it's because Holstein leads the way. Now, Desmond Reed has been a really fun running back as well. He is someone that is playing really well as of late, and he is someone that, again, is going to be really fun to watch when you see him go against this SMU defense. He is going to make life difficult for that defense. Renata Mumfield, this is a guy who last year I think people expected him to do some interesting things, but that just never came to fruition. And this year has been different. He has been one of the most reliable players for this team, and he has been a player that's been really fun to watch, one of Holstein's favorite people to find downfield. Donovan McMillan has been really good. He continues to be a playmaking machine, tackles all over the field, someone who is very, very exciting on the defensive side of the ball. Again, another transfer coming from the SEC and Florida. He has been really, really good. Brandon George had a big week in the game against Syracuse. He has been a playmaker through and through for this team. So this is a team that has plenty of options. We can talk about SMU's options, but it has plenty of options themselves. Now, I think it comes down to which quarterback makes fewer mistakes. I think it comes down to which team has more depth and which team ultimately has those playmakers that can step up. This is going to be a very important game, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on these teams to perform. Who handles that better? Who takes care of the football? And which team limits those explosive plays? There's a lot of things to watch in this game. Again, a very underrated game that we did not expect to be so important coming into this season, but now we have something really exciting for what is going to shape the ACC race in 2024.